Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. A couple big Star Wars actors, writers, and directors just put Disney on blast this week when they revealed a canceled sequel-era movie that Lucasfilm had already paid millions of dollars to develop and had given a green light to begin filming. And apparently, it was Bob Iger and his Disney corporate overlords who overruled Kathleen Kennedy and the Lucasfilm people who were trying to make it, canceling the film. As you would expect when big movies like this blow up behind the scenes, there's a lot of finger pointing, so I'll try to explain what actually went down. It is another huge L for Star Wars and what seems like a string of bad luck with their movie attempts after The Rise of Skywalker, like it's just been bad news after bad news. Most of the details about this movie and what happened came from the actors themselves, the writers, directors, and they don't hold back, so we'll go through everything they said beat by beat. It's pretty wild, and I'll explain what I think actually went on, the reason why Bob Iger canceled the movie when Kathleen Kennedy, the other Lucasfilm Star Wars people, were so excited to actually make it. Basically one of those Disney gonna Disney kind of moments. Right after the news was revealed, a couple fans got together and paid to have a banner flown over the Disney offices demanding they release this new movie. Once you hear all the facts, you can make up your own mind about why you think Bob Iger really killed the movie. I have my own theories, and it's mostly because of what they're doing with the theme parks and the commerce of it all, like the true aftermath of what The Rise of Skywalker did to Disney on a larger corporate entity financial level. Also because of what they've been doing with the theme parks in the last couple of years and what they're planning to do with the theme parks in the next couple of years. But this whole firestorm started with Adam Driver. He was recently doing press for a totally different movie with the Playlist website he had been working on, and during that interview, he revealed that he had developed this entire sequel-era movie with Steven Soderbergh, of all people, big award-winning director here. It would have taken place after the events of The Rise of Skywalker, and it would have had a much smaller budget than Rise of Skywalker, like more intimate movie. Adam Driver said that it was specifically inspired more by The Empire Strikes Back in terms of budget and more character-driven moments. Think Luke Skywalker training on Dagobah with Yoda, the dark side cave, how it dealt more with psychological internal journeys that Luke was having, his perspective. Obviously, Kylo Ren would have survived the events of The Rise of Skywalker, so everybody posts all the memes.
Somehow,
Kylo Ren
returned.
At the end of that movie, in the theatrical cut, they showed him becoming a Force ghost. Now, there's a lot you can say about that for other reasons, like logically, he shouldn't be able to become a Force ghost because of pre-established lore during the Clone Wars and what it actually takes for a Jedi or any characters to become a Force ghost. Not all regular Jedi Knights or even Jedi Masters can automatically become Force Ghosts when they die. It's a special skill that only a couple people in the canon have learned how to do. It was a big deal when Anakin Skywalker became a Force Ghost, but in George Lucas's defense, when he did it during Return of the Jedi, he had not yet explained how Force Ghosts work, so technically he wasn't actually breaking his own rules yet because he hadn't created those rules yet until like 25 years later when the Clone Wars actually happened. There's a lot of that happens in Star Wars because he had not written in characters yet when he did some of those earlier movies. Ahsoka is probably the best example of that. He had not created her yet when he did the prequel movies. All the later movies, the Star Wars TV shows like the Ahsoka series, basically had to retcon her into those moments. But Adam Driver and Steven Soderbergh were going to explain how Kylo Ren returns after this moment, and the movie was being called, at the time, The Hunt for Ben Solo, with the idea that it was going to be more a character-driven journey of Kylo Ren now trying to figure out who Ben Solo really was. Like, who was he going to be now that he had turned good again? He was leaning back towards his Ben Solo identity. So the movie basically reads like it would have been the redemption of Ben Solo. It also kind of seemed like the movie would have gotten a little bit deeper into the Knights of Ren lore. They were also trying to set that up during the Acolyte series too, even though that's a completely different group of creatives. It just sounds like Lucasfilm was planning to do more with the Knights of Ren, and this Kylo Ren-based Ben Solo movie would have also gotten into that. The other crazy thing here is that this would have made the Rise of Skywalker movie title actually make more sense in context because it would have applied more to his character because he is an actual blood-related Skywalker. He is part of the actual Skywalker line, not the weird twist that they had at the Rise of Skywalker movie with Rey proclaiming herself a Skywalker, which 100% did not make sense at all.
Who are you?
I'm Rey Skywalker.
They revealed that Steven Soderbergh's wife and also longtime collaborator was the screenwriter on the movie, and Scott Z. Burns, who's also a frequent collaborator with Steven Soderbergh on his films, was paid more money than Lucasfilm had ever paid a writer to do the script, which is about $3 million, which he had finished. So the script was done, locked. Dave Filoni had been named creative director at Lucasfilm and was heavily involved through the entire development of the script and was happy with it, and they were doing early pre-production, getting ready to actually roll cameras on day one of the film. Kathleen Kennedy had approved their budget and greenlit the movie, so it was all systems go. And it was actually when Kathleen Kennedy went to Bob Iger for final approval that he canceled everything. So apparently Kathleen Kennedy does not have automatic authority to make whatever Star Wars movies and TV shows that they want. Her Disney overlords, Bob Iger, have to ultimately approve them, which explains a lot of other weirder decisions after The Rise of Skywalker. Like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. So if you really want to get mad and point the finger at somebody here, get mad at Bob Iger. He's really the person to blame. How do you cancel a Star Wars movie that was going to be relatively cheap to make compared to the normal movies and just generally the Star Wars movies in the sequel era? Lower budget, lower risk, with an award-winning director and writer team like Steven Soderbergh. Sounds like it was a banger script. And Adam Driver, who I think all the characters during the sequel trilogy era came out being one of the most popular in the fandom just in general. When Adam Driver talked about why Disney said that they canceled the movie, he said their explanation was that they couldn't understand how Kylo Ren could have survived the Rise of Skywalker ending. Post all the memes again, somehow Palpatine returned. It's almost like nobody at Disney actually watched The Rise of Skywalker. That whole movie was based on the premise that somebody that you thought died a long time ago actually survived. When you actually look at the facts and some of the other decisions that Disney has made just in general with the Star Wars brand, not Kathleen Kennedy, but Disney themselves, what they've been doing with the brand since The Rise of Skywalker, I think the main reason why Bob Iger specifically canceled the movie was because they lost so much money on The Rise of Skywalker, and when this was going down, like when they actually canceled the movie, it was relatively recently after The Rise of Skywalker. We're not talking like last year, we're talking a couple years ago that it got canceled.
I had an overall arc in mind that he wanted to do.
And at that time, Disney was still heavily in the red, spending so much money on the launch of Disney Plus, trying to support that. They were trying to get The Mandalorian off the ground. Season 1 had just started going. Grogu and Mando debut and become vastly more popular than all the movie characters. I really think The Mandalorian Season 1 did a good job of taking some of the stank of Rise of Skywalker out of people's mouths because both those things released at the same time in December 2019. So already you have Bob Iger and Disney seeing the dollar signs in their eyes and trying to translate that into theme park profits down the road, and also the extra hundreds of millions of dollars they've already invested around the world in all the Disneyland and Disney World theme parks for the sequel era trilogy characters, particularly the Rey character. And it should be no surprise that Disney really only cares about keeping the corporate synergy of the Star Wars movies and shows to theme park attractions alive so they can make more money back on their investment in the theme parks. Which is also one of the big reasons why you keep hearing them trying to double down on the Rey character in the new Star Wars movies set after The Rise of Skywalker, because they think it's good for their theme parks, nothing to do with actual story. It is probably the leading reason why they don't completely wipe the slate clean after the sequel era and start with brand new characters in a brand new trilogy later in the timeline. Why they keep trying to bring sequel era characters back so they don't have to spend extra money changing all the theme park stuff too from the ground up. Then there's also the classic Disney factor, and this is true of all their properties, like the Marvel stuff too, not just Star Wars stuff. All their theme parks are very, very family-oriented, tuned for younger children, which is one of the reasons why they have not made any rated R Star Wars movies or TV shows. They are aggressively trying to Disneyfy Star Wars just in general to keep it as family-friendly as possible because of all the theme parks. And just based on the pitch here with Steven Soderbergh, it sounds like this canceled Kylo Ren movie would have been way more hardcore. So if you remember, way back when Disney first bought Lucasfilm in 2012, Zack Snyder revealed before Warner Brothers hired him to do the Man of Steel movie with Henry Cavill, his version of Justice League, Batman, all that stuff, he had actually pitched his own rated R Star Wars movie to Lucasfilm. So this is back in 2012, which they rejected at the time because Disney had no interest in doing rated R Star Wars movies. They wanted to do very family-friendly Star Wars movies. So everybody just post all your reactions in the comments below. I know everybody wants to see this movie now, like that's the big talk around the internet, like just release the movie if it's ready to go. If the script is good, they're ready to roll camera, just make the movie. That same article that just revealed all this stuff also confirms Kathleen Kennedy is planning on formally announcing her retirement from Star Wars and Lucasfilm next year after Bob Iger announces his retirement and they announce their successors. We both knew that they were going to be leaving soon. It was just a question of when it would happen. I already did a video about that earlier this year. I'm sure there'll be a ton of videos that people release when they do formally announce their retirement. One of the biggest new things in this article, though, they reveal Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau apparently do not want her job, even though they are the current top picks. There's a whole lot to unpack here, obviously developing situation, so I'll do more videos about this as they reveal more details, but it'll probably be next year before they formally announce who's going to be replacing both of them. Probably one of the biggest surprises is that even though Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are the current top picks for her job, apparently they don't want the actual job, so we will see who they wind up picking to replace her. Speaking of the movies, they're also in the middle of filming that Ryan Gosling Star Wars Starfighter film. I've already done a video for that, so I'll link it below in the description. Right now, most of their attention is going into The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is the next big Star Wars movie next year. Ahsoka Season 2 will release after that. They've already finished filming. I've done trailer videos for both of those. Click here for my Mandalorian and Grogu trailer video, and click here for that leaked Ahsoka Season 2 trailer that they released recently. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.